It's that time of the week again where we get to go over some very highly esteemed altcoins. I'm referencing right now a Twitter thread or a Twitter post that I made, or whatever the hell it's, what do you call it now? It doesn't matter. I'm referencing a post that I made on some social media venue whose name is unknown to me. This post over here where basically I say, hey, give me whatever, give it to me now. But to let me know what are the altcoins that you want to see analysisized the most on this channel, and then I'll kind of pick the top three and we'll go over them. And I'll continue to do this each and every week. So if you didn't get it this week, just try next week. And for this week, we are going to be going over Dogecoin, symbol IMX, symbol DOT, Polkadot. And then there's this other one that I saw a lot of times here. I've never heard about it before, but I just had to include it because I saw it so many damn times, and it is this one. I see it right here, symbol CSIX. It's carbon something rather. This is like my first time ever even looking at the chart, but I saw it so many damn times in this thread that I figured, okay, well, I just have to include this, or might as well look at it. So we'll save that one for last, but we'll start it off with Dogecoin over here. And in this case, I want to first point out that the weekly Oracle Pro has fired off a buy signal. This was actually a few weeks ago over here, but generally speaking, when the weekly speaks, when the weekly is signaling something, it's going to go on for quite some time. Not always. You see this one off over here. Well, actually, no, that was a sell over here and then a buy over here and then a sell again. But a lot of the time these things go on for months at a time. So in this case, I do look at this one as a signal and further confirmation of a macro reversal that this one has begun, with the lows being printed in a higher low. I should also add in October. So that is of significant importance here. Again, I'm making no analysis on the comparison between Dogecoin and Bitcoin, the DOGE versus BTC pair. That probably doesn't look all that great. I think most of these versus Bitcoin are not going to look too great. There's going to be a few outliers here and there, of course. But as far as the high term timeframes go for Dogecoin, looks like the old LARP lines here are playing out. But more importantly, if we go over to the quarterly time frame, we can see that there is a quarterly bullish engulfing dildo. Massive one. Massive in my face. Thus confirming what we kind of already just looked at, or playing hand in hand with that, I should say. A nice confluence, you might even add. But this is going to be a quarterly higher low in comparison to this low, which is a higher low in comparison to this low all the way down here. So, one thing that Dogecoin actually does speak to me, or sounds so fucking ridiculous. One thing that I really notice strongly about Dogecoin is that despite it being a literal meme and actually like in one of the most logically like worthless coins, it is one of the only cryptos from cycle to cycle that has continually put in macro higher lows on higher term timeframes, like a monthly, and significantly new higher lows. So it's funny because this one, has a more legitimate chart than like actually 95% of other cryptos that have been around for a while, because most make, new lows from cycle to cycle or barely hold on to their prior ones. This one making significantly higher lows yet again, it does seem like. Now, on top of that, the quarterly timeframe is also printing potential for hidden bullish divergence here. And that'll be confirmed with any sort of a closure basically above like 8.5 cents at the end of this month of December. And at that point, realistically, it's not going to happen like the next quarter or the quarter after that maybe, but sometime in 2024, I would be looking for this one to put in a pretty sizable move, probably somewhere around 20 cents again, or maybe above 20 cents again. So definitely possible there. Anyways, going on into the weekly, or is there anything else that I want to speak about on this one? Weekly time frame, again, kind of brushing up against the 200 simple right there. So I expect that that's going to be like the next short-term major area of interest, which is 9.8 cents above there. I'd really look for this one to kind of run, the doggy will run. And basically long-term, as long as Dogecoin is above 8 cents, the macro reversal is real. The direction is up. All pullbacks are just higher lows. Against 8 cents is the area of interest on that particular one. Weekly RSI getting back in the bullish control zone for the first time since December of 2020. So ultimately, this one, I do think is turning the corner. There will be pullbacks along the way, obviously. The areas of interest for that would be certainly around this prior high that we saw in October of 2022 at 15 cents. if we're talking about very, very long term, and then from going onwards from there, you can see all the next major regions of interest. But yeah, long term does look like Dogecoin's turning the corner. Volatility turning up on the weekly time frame as well. Again, I think this one continues to the upside. There will be pullbacks. We're looking at very high term timeframes here, but on the whole, more upside most likely. Anyways, moving on to the next one, we have symbol IMX. I think this one's name is Immutable X. Immutable X. Anyways, on this one, a little bit of a different chart actually compared to what we just looked at. The weekly time frame brushing up against the same high that it did see in March of this year. So it has not made new highs above its March highs, which is a little bit on the relatively weak side, as most things in this market are already making new highs above that. Anyways, this is a great place for Immutable X to play out a bit of a short-term pullback. Make no mistake about it, this is a reversal, or at least this looks very much like a reversal over here. You might even call this an inverted herp and derp, which yeah, it kind of is. You got a left derp right there, you got a herp right there, and you got a right derp over here. But this one taking a little bit of a consolidation around these regions, around the 50% retracement, is not anything super crazy. So yes, long term, do I think it's going to bust through? Yeah, it's going to have probably some pretty impressive busting action. But I suspect in the short term, or the relative short term, relevant to a weekly time frame, you see a range somewhere in here, something like that. As long as it's above the 382, which is about a buck even. Long term still bullish. Long term likely seeds $2 before below $1. What else do I have as far as my notes go? Yeah, looking at volatility on the weekly time frame, we're looking at extremes already here. Again, that is why I do say short term, it's probably seen the high of this rally for the short term. Probably trades sideways, maybe a spike to the upside, but ultimately sideways for the next few weeks as that does cool down. Weekly RSI, also the highest that it's ever seen ever. It's not like anything super crazy, abnormally high, but it is, a little bit of a short-term pullback into a higher low, especially above like 110, 115 region would look really, really good for this one before further continuation to the upside. Anyways, what else do I want to say? Yeah, basically most likely to play between the 50% retracement and the 382 fib right there. And then maybe around the end of this month or January, it does try another move to the upside. But first, likely a cool down period. Looking at the lower term timeframes, the 4-hour timeframe actually did fire off a buy signal on the Oracle, which is interesting here because it would suggest that short term it likely does try one more move to the upside. So I suspect that very short term it probably does make another interim high, but I would probably be cautious about that actually having continuation. I do think it's going to be like a short-term high, come back down, play sideways, and then the big breakout later this month or January, something like that. But as far as this goes, yeah, it actually does suggest a short-term. I mean, it's already kind of played out an upside move here, right? But fair enough. This one's actually been pretty good on the 4-hour time frame as well. It's kind of back testing this by eye right now. So not bad right there. Also, I should let you know that Friday is actually the most bullish day for IMX throughout its history. It's of all Fridays, 42% of them have closed positively for an average return of 5.5%. That's fucking crazy. God, these numbers are so big. Wow, that's wild. Okay, is that right? Okay, I guess it is right. That's really crazy. I guess I understand why people play these things. Oh my God, that's a 23% move in one day. Jesus Christ. This is wild. Anyways, moving on now, we'll go to symbol DOT, Polkadot. Another interesting chart here. We have the same. We have a lot of similarities between this one and Dogecoin in the sense that the quarterly is printing a bullish engulfing dildo right there. So big, massive one to my face yet again. I expect that this one will continue into the first and second quarter of the new year with an area of interest somewhere between like $9.5 to $10. Now, looking at the weekly time frame, I do want to say that, yeah, it's at the 55 right there. So maybe a little bit of consolidation, but ultimately weekly volatility just kind of inching its head above the 50 percentile marker. I do suspect that that overall this move is not done. Now there's a very easy way to call that this move would be done, and it would just be below the lows of November, which is about $5.50. But until then, all pullbacks are short-term higher lows before further continuation on the higher term timeframes. Weekly RSI into the bullish control zone for the first time since almost ever in 2021. Long term, I'm not a humongous fan of a chart like this that just kind of slinks lower and lower over time. It's certainly relatively weak, but you know, is it going to get a nice boost up here, maybe somewhere between $9 and $10 in the coming 3 to 6 months? Yeah, probably yes. Areas of interest in the short term, however, I should let you know. Let me actually just do this really quickly right here. Yeah, we can see it's kind of stuck right at the 50% retracement above about 6.25. I would be looking for this one to put in the next sort of explosive move, a little bit above $7. And then from there you got 860 or so, and so on and so forth. Anyways, looking at the Oracle over here, similar to Dogecoin as well, or I think it was Dogecoin. Yeah, it was Dogecoin. The weekly time frame did fire off a buy signal. Coming off the lows in November, actually. So first week in November. So again, you know, in the more near term relative to a weekly, so the next like couple months, probably does work its way upwards and onwards. Again, really only bearish if it comes back down below about $5.50. Until then, this one, you know, trades sideways and up, I suspect. Then we'll do one last one. Again, I wasn't even going to include this one to begin with, but might as well because it got requested so many damn times. The CSIX, so it's actually doesn't have a whole lot of history on trading derp, but you know, looking at the weekly right here, I can understand why people are probably requesting it a lot, because you see a major move basically around prior all-time highs. To me, that's a signal that it's strong. It's strong, yes. I mean, certainly. It's relative to a lot of other things in this market. Yeah, absolutely. But testing around that prior high, having a sell-off like this, yeah, this one's going to enter into a sideways consolidation and probably come down a little bit in the short term. Now, it would be a good it would be a good signal that long term, it likely sets on a higher low, likely continue on to new highs on this rally. But this one can play a pullback down very easily to 5 cents or maybe even just above 4 cents, you know, somewhere in this pocket over here. And before continuing to the upside. So, you know, short term, yeah, probably does cool off a bit, probably does play out some sideways and down. You know, what I'm trying to say is that short term, the rally is likely over, probably comes down to like, you know, below 6 cents, I suspect, minimum. And then it'll be on higher low watch. But there's not a whole hell of a lot of history here to be going off of. The history that it does have just looks like, you know, a macro low, and it's getting ready to move to the upside in the coming months. But in the very, very short term, well, in the very, very short term, like the 4-hour time frame, probably tries another short-term upside move. But again, I'd be a little bit cautious of this one continuing like today or tomorrow towards like any meaningful new highs. This one's probably gonna be range bound for a little bit of time, as you naturally would expect after a very impressive run like this, which to put in perspective, you know, was pretty much unabated for 500% over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. Straight fucking up, you know. Yeah, sideways, reaccumulates, likely continues, but maybe something to watch for this cycle as it's completely new. I don't own a fucking cent or dime of this thing, and I probably won't ever, but it's the time to be looking at these sort of newer ones, I do think, not the old ones. Like compare this chart with this chart, and this is like, I wouldn't say it's one of the stronger olds, but better than a lot of them. You know, it's nowhere near even its 2022 high. Well, not its 2022 high, but the October 2022 high. You know, this one, sorry, CSIX. Well, it wasn't even around during that time, so it's not really a fair comparison, I guess. But you get where I'm going with that. It's certainly nowhere above its, or you know, most altcoins are still struggling to get above their summer highs. This one's well above its summer highs by many multiples. So if you see something like that, is what I'm trying to say. That's perhaps a good sign that altcoin is is going to be one of the better behaviors in this coming market cycle. So yeah, I think that is a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular video. Again, we'll do it again next week with this thread over here. Just keep an eye out for it. I would just humbly request, just like this guy, Mr. Moby Dick, who seems to be a really, really good guy, has caught on to, don't request the same damn ones that have already been done, or at least, let it roll for like a month or two before trying again. And we'll go on from there. So again, I want to say massive thank you for all the participation. These threads seem to get the most engagement that I've ever got on Twitter, which is funny. So fair enough. Maybe a little bit of, maybe a little bit of, what's it called? I'm bluffing on my words right now. I don't even fucking know English. So I'm going to end it right there. I'll be signing off on that note. As always, I want to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.